Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of the 2018 horror film Winchester. Now, Winchester is a film that is very loosely based on an actual place called the Winchester House, which is a house that was built and financed, well, not necessarily built by Sarah Winchester, but she helped finance it with her great fortune. And it's sort of paranormal hotbed, according to a bunch of folks. Certain rooms in the house were apparently filled full of ghosts that were locked in the rooms, and so on and so forth. So there's some interesting potential for a movie. I like the idea. It kind of reminds me of 13 Ghosts, which I actually enjoy. Uh, at least the remake anyway, which I think is actually quite an underrated movie. That was a fun film, and it had some really creative ghost designs in it. One of them being a unused design by Dick Smith that was going to be in the film Ghost Story, the 1981 movie. So yeah, safe to say, I was curious about Winchester from the very beginning, even before I even saw the trailer. Saw the trailer, I really liked what I saw. I was like, wow, Helen Mirren's going to be in a horror film? That's nice. That's a different change of pace for her. I also liked the look of the trailer. I thought it looked like it was going to take a page from Peter Medak's The Changeling, because it seemed like there was a lot of practical effects and it was shot on set and things like that. It looked like it had some great mood and atmosphere. And so, yeah, I was looking forward to it. It looked like a nice old-fashioned haunted house ghost story in the vein of The Conjuring or The Changeling, or the original The Haunting by Robert Wise. And what I got was more like the 1999 remake of The Haunting, which is really, really disappointing. Now, Winchester, as you all know, or for those of you that don't know, is a 2018 horror film. It came out on February 2nd. It cost about, I think, 3 million, and so far its box office is only like $10 million. So this is bombing. This is not doing well. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it made a little bit of a profit since its budget was so low, but that's not saying much. And after seeing the film, I can see why it's not doing that well. This is not a good movie. I wanted it to be a good film. I was looking forward to it. I liked the trailers. There are good things about it, but this is one of those movies that is a house full of wasted potential. This is one of those films that shoots itself in the face with a nail gun loaded with stupid bullshit jump scares that ultimately end up undoing pretty much all of the good and all of the goodwill that this film has built up throughout its running time. And it's really too bad that this is one of those movies that is such a waste, because there's a lot here to really put together a legitimately solid film, and it just feels like it's a waste of Helen Mirren, it's a waste of Jason Clarke, it's a waste of genuinely eerie atmosphere and mood, it's a waste of the setting. They don't do as much with the ghost rooms as they could. And it's just one of those films that it ultimately feels like a movie that was intended to be something different. It was intended to be more of a dramatic horror film, and then the studio got a hold of it and just shoved a shit ton of jump scares into it and completely changed its identity and completely changed what it was supposed to be. And I could be wrong, but it just, these jump scares are so jarring when it comes to their juxtaposition with the rest of the movie that it just feels like this was just shit that was just added in the film with reshoots or stuff that the Spierg brothers were forced to put into the movie by some mandate by Lionsgate and CBS Films. Now, the film was directed by the Spierg brothers, who before this did films like Daybreakers, Undead, and Predestination. All films I haven't seen. They also did the Jigsaw prequel, which is another prequel to the Saw films, which I haven't seen. I would have to say their direction in this isn't bad. It's one of the elements about this film that is not really an issue for me. I don't blame the direction for this film's ills. I don't. The screenplay, on the other hand, by Tom Vaughn and the Spierg brothers, I definitely blame for a lot of this film's ills. The film has absolutely miserable pacing, such a slow-paced film. I mean, it takes a while to get going, and I don't mind slow burns if they actually lead to somewhere. This doesn't really lead to anywhere that's really that worthwhile. So it builds and builds and builds, and then it just builds to a bunch of guns floating in the air and a ghost getting shot with a bullet that sends them to the other side. Or then the house, of course, starts to collapse because there's an earthquake that happens. But other than that, it's just one of those, like, all that happens, but it doesn't really seem like it was worth the build-up. It's ultimately the movie kind of ends on this very rushed note, as if the writers were on a deadline or just didn't give a fuck anymore, and were just like, let's just write ghost bullet, shoots a guy with a bullet, guns floating in the air, house falls apart, and, call it a day. There were some elements, though, with the script that worked. For example, I liked that Jason Clarke's character, Eric Price, confronts his personal demons eye to eye near the end of the film in the greenhouse, where he actually confronts his dead wife and is able to get over his grief in a very personal and less ethereal way. It technically is ethereal because she's a ghost, but he can still see her, so it's not just getting over grief by just getting over the memories of somebody or getting over the loss of someone you love. He actually is able to see her from the other side in this greenhouse and say goodbye and so on. I like that. It was straightforward. You could say it's been done before, but I thought the performances were good by both actors in that scene. So it's one of those things where I thought that worked. I also felt a lot of the back and forth, the banter, the dialogue between Helen Mirren's character, Sarah Winchester, and Jason Clarke's character, the psychotherapist, Eric Price, I thought was quite good. They had good chemistry, and every scene that they were in definitely made the film tolerable to me. They are trying. That's another reason why this film is so disappointing, because I thought Jason Clarke and Helen Mirren both did phenomenal jobs with their performances, and it's all buried under this bullshit and wasted potential. And another thing about the script I definitely felt was an issue was it just felt like there was a lot of different threads and different sort of elements in the plot that just kind of popped up like whack-a-mole. They were just like, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. Here comes one plot point. Here comes another. Here comes another. And it just, nothing really seemed to really connect together. There really wasn't a lot of cohesion with this script. It just seemed like there's a bunch of random shit at one point, and then more random shit, and more stupid bullshit jump scares, and more zombie ghosts, and a twist on who the ghost is, who's behind all of this shit, and so on and so forth. Also, it suffered from relying way too much on just totally generic plot points that honestly I don't necessarily have an issue with if the film is entertaining. This isn't really that entertaining of a movie. I was only able to sit through it without falling asleep because I was loaded with caffeine. I had a large peach tea, and there was so much caffeine flowing through my veins that I could have been watching 50 Shades of Grey or the Garbage Pail Kids, and I would have been able to stay awake, no problem. So that's not really a testament to this film's staying power or its ability to engage its audience. Because the theater I was at, the showing of Winchester that I went to with a good friend of mine, the couple next to us left. They were like, fuck this shit, we're done. They completely they got up and they left like halfway through the movie. So, Yeah, this definitely does not have a really good grasp of its audience in terms of how to keep them glued to their seat. And I don't blame that couple for leaving, because it's not like they missed that much. The biggest issue, though, with the script is how every single moment that it has some genuine suspense or some genuine chills, it fucks it up. It shoots itself in the face with a nail gun full of bullshit jump scares. I'm going to keep using that allegory because it's perfect, because there's a lot of nails in this movie, and there's guns, and it just keeps shooting itself in the face repeatedly with stupid bullshit, ridiculously over the top, silly jump scares that are so bad, that are so poorly put together, that it's almost as if it's a parody. It's almost as if this is like Scary Movie 7 or some shit. It's just like, what is this? I mean, they even do the stupid fake out jump scares, like Sarah Winchester opens the secret closet door, and jump scare music, and it's just so bad. It's so awful. And I was cringing when I was sitting watching this in the theater. I was like, why? I was like flipping it off multiple times. I was like, why are you doing this, Winchester? Stop it. Stop with the stupid jump scares. For example, there's a scene in the film where Jason Clarke, his character, is shaving in a mirror. Okay. In the mirror, you can see the mirror's right here. All right. He's shaving in the mirror, and the mirror will go, by a ghostly presence, will keep moving to the left. I think that's the left, and it will keep moving and painting towards this chair, and he keeps correcting it so we can keep shaving, and it keeps moving to point to the chair. Now that scene in itself is fine. That's the type of eerie atmosphere. That's the type of creepy, ghostly type of stuff that works for me. It works for a lot of people. You build up to your zombie ghosts or your other ghosts or whatever you want to. You don't fucking give them away in like the first 10 minutes. So, and you build up to something. The Changeling didn't show you barely anything. You had the seance scene. You had the scene where there was like this sort of premonition that one of the characters has, that they see the boy floating, and that's all you really needed. You don't see an apparition, you don't see any of that, because it's not necessary, and it ruins the suspense, and it hurts the film as a whole. And in the first 10 minutes of Winchester, it's just ooga booga booga scares, and it's like 6 or 7 of them, and automatically the film has just fucking blown its own head off. It's just, it's so aggravating. Films like this irritate me a lot more than films that are just straight up dumpster fires. Because films that are straight up dumpster fires, that don't really have that much going for them, that I didn't have any expectations for at all, there's really not much for them. There's really not much for them to fuck up, because I already thought they were gonna fuck up, and when they fuck up, it's to be expected. But when you have a film like Winchester that's marketed a certain way, that has a good idea, that has some great atmosphere and mood, has a good setting, has some good performances, some decent direction, and then you have just this fucking bullshit. It's so fucking annoying. And if that isn't annoying enough, you have the stupid trope of the red-headed kid who has no soul, who gets possessed. Might as well be the problem child from the problem child movies. And that's another, that kid showing up in one scene is another moment when this movie shoots itself in the face with stupid bullshit jump scares. One of the most harrowing scenes in the film was when it looks like a gun is being controlled by a ghost and is shooting at Sarah Winchester. And then the film fucks it up, as usual, by showing it's the kid possessed shooting her. I'm like, you don't have to do that. It was scarier when it wasn't anything, when he wasn't a kid controlling the gun, when it would look like it was just some ghostly presence deciding to use Sarah Winchester as shooting practice, as target practice. And then the script also has some really random shit. Like there's like attempts at humor that fall flat. Like this weird butler who's like talking about it's midnight, and Jason Clarke's like, yeah, okay, it's midnight. Like, all right, what? Okay, Lurch, what are you talking about? What? There's this whole thing about midnight, and there's a bell, and they don't really do that much with it. And then you have like a scene near the end where the character played by Sarah Snooke, Marion Marriott, she all of a sudden just gets all like super feminist near the end and is all like, I am a protector. I am a mother. She's like, I am a mother. Because there's like these ghosts or whatever in the basement. She's trying to protect her son, the problem child. Might as well be the redheaded stepchild as well. So she's trying to protect her problem child kid. And she's all like, I am a mother. I am a protector. I am not afraid. I am woman. Hear me roar. It was just so hacking and just so fucking forced. I don't know why that was there. It didn't seem like it was a natural line of dialogue. It came out of left field. And it, like, what happened? Did one of the writers get possessed by some ghost of a feminist and just fucking ghost wrote that shit? I mean, what was that? And then the stupid bullshit at the end where, oh, the evil ghost, you know, he won't go to the other side. Let's shoot him with a bullet. Because apparently the bullet has some kind of way in order to send him to the other side, because the guy, the ghost of Benjamin Block, bullets are like one of his weaknesses or some shit. I don't know. It's just dumb. It really is dumb. And yeah, I mean, that's the main issues with this are definitely, excuse me, apparently thinking about this screenplay gives me indigestion. Damn. It's just the script. It's a mess. It's just it's all over the place. There are some things that work, but there's a lot of things that don't, and ultimately bring the film down and just cause it to just implode in upon itself. The music by Peter Spierg also wasn't anything. I don't remember any of the music from this movie, so I really think he would have benefited from hiring somebody else to do the music, because this doesn't really add anything to the film. Cinematography's there, the editing is there, although honestly I think it could have used some editing in terms of cutting out like pretty much every single one of the jump scares, because none of them are effective. And speaking of scary, this wasn't scary at all. I've seen scarier episodes of Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark? So if you're going into this for scares, you're not gonna get scares. So that's another thing that's disappointing about this. Should have taken a page from The Conjuring and actually had some legitimately creepy, scary moments. But nope, you don't have any of that in this. The ghosts all look the same. They just look like zombies. Oh, great. Wow. Put a lot of effort and thought into that design, now didn't you? And it's 99 minutes. It's got 99 problems, and this bitch ain't one. But yeah, well, it's kind of true. Like Helen Mirren, she's not a problem. This bitch ain't one. It's got 99 problems, but this bitch ain't one. But yeah, it is not very not a very fast-paced film, and that isn't necessarily bad. It doesn't necessarily have to be. The Changeling isn't a fast-paced movie, but it lacks the plot and the consistency that something like The Changeling has. This has some characters that I like, but the story that they're involved with is such... It's so boring. It's so blasé. It's so dull that it's like I said, it's incredibly hard to remain engaged while watching Winchester. The film costs like $3 million, and it shows at times. Like, there's a shot that's supposed to be of the house, and it really looks pretty bad, because it looks like it's it looks like the house is CG or something, or the clouds are CG or whatever. It's just a really jarring thing to see. It just like boom, like it just looks fake. Um, but there's some other moments that the low budget they did a good job with, like the interiors of the house, the moments where some of the people are getting drug away by ghostly spirits, when the house falls apart near the end by the earthquake, and so on and so forth. And so there were some of the zombie ghosts that were done practically. Didn't really make that much of a difference though, because they were just zombie ghosts. Um, Other than that, I really don't know what else to say about the film, except it was definitely, like I said, disappointment. It was a movie I was looking forward to, and I didn't even get an average film. It was the epitome of below average, and I definitely do not recommend Winchester. I don't recommend you go out and see this one in the theater. I don't. Unless you're a diehard Helen Mirren fan. But even if you are, I would say wait till it comes out on home video, or wait till it comes out on Netflix or streaming, or check it out, I guess, if you're really curious. But even then, I really don't think it's a film that's worth seeing in the theater. This is a movie that I definitely do not think you should use your movie pass on, which I did. I don't even think it's worth using somebody else's money to see. This is a film you just wait. You wait to see it, or you don't see it, because if you're not interested in it at all, then I definitely would say skip this, because you're probably not going to get that much out of it, and it's really not going to be worth your time. But anyway, I really do not know what else to say about Winchester, except thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.